Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly.
Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, your podcast to cruise a little smarter, except we're not talking about cruising today.
We are. There is a sea involved at some point.
There will be, and I am excited to discuss that sea. But I am your host, Lake, and I'm joined by my co-host, Kristi. Kristi, how are you today?
I am well, Lake. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Excited because we have two great guests on today, again, to talk about something fun and different, something that neither of us have gotten to experience. We are going to be discussing Tokyo Disneyland and DisneySea. And to do that, we would like to welcome our guests today. First up, Amber. Amber, how are you today?
Hello. You know what? I was going to say hello in Japanese, but I forgot how to do that. So I'll pass it on to Kristi.
Well, we also have another guest today. We would like to welcome Kristi to the show. Kristi, how are you?
Good, and you?
Doing pretty good. So both Amber and Kristi have really recently traveled to Tokyo Disneyland. So we are having them both on to discuss a little bit about their trip. First off, why don't we begin with why Tokyo Disneyland?
Oh, man. I mean, why not might be the better. I mean, I'm sure we've all heard that it's amazing and it's awesome. Honestly, we had a family friend who was going. So we're like, we've always wanted to go. Might as well go when this person's also going. And he had already been there. And it was summertime, so no school. So it was a little YOLO. And we went for 11 days, my family of 3.
That's so cool.
My coworker friend at school has been to all of the Disney parks except for Hong Kong. And she says that Tokyo is the best and her family's favorite. And my little one is still, he's 13, but he's still really into the parks. So I want to capitalize on that until he follows the steps of my big one and is no longer interested.
Well, unlike Walt Disney World and Disneyland, it is a hop and a jump to get over to Tokyo Disney and Tokyo Disneyland for us. And also the booking process is a little bit different. So why don't you both just walk us through what you had to do to plan this trip?
So I watched 8,000 YouTube videos from TDR Explorer, who is a Canadian gentleman who lives in Japan, and he makes fantastic videos. I watched all his videos. I took his advice and used an app called Klook with a K, and that's where I bought my tickets. It was 2 months in advance. You could purchase tickets. And based on a coworker who had been to Japan twice in the past 2 years, she's gone twice. She recommended the Hilton Tokyo Bay, I believe, which was right across the street from the monorail. So we didn't stay, quote unquote, on property, yet right next door to us was a Disney resort. So we were as on property as you could get without spending the on property prices.
So I know my family, and we do better when we don't have to get up super early. So I knew we would not be in those super long lines waiting for rope drop. So that's why I went with the vacation package, so we could reserve a few rides. And then I made a friend. So we were gone for 23 nights, and we got off of a cruise and then went to Tokyo Disneyland. And I made a cruise friend, and she was doing the same thing. So her and I went back and forth a lot on the planning and how to do the vacation package and which options and all of that.
And I would like to point out that these two guests are some of our more frugal listeners. So even though they went halfway across the world, they still are looking to do like what makes the most economical sense for the trip to work out. So you're making that whole big journey, so you can't like totally spend no money, but so you'll get two perspectives of, okay, this might be where we spent money. Kristi is really big into miles and points. And so I know that she would have used some miles and points things for some aspects of her trip. So she can just briefly mention that when it comes up. But just to point out, this is a great episode, I think, for our listeners, because they're going to try to figure out how do you maximize it without maximizing your spending, if it's possible.
And I will say the tickets to Tokyo Disney Resort parks, they were fairly inexpensive. I mean, my daughter, who is under 12, I believe under 12 as a child, her ticket was like $30 or $35 per day. And then adults, it depended on the day of the week, but it was like 60, 70, possibly 80 on a Saturday. But it was very economical compared to Walt Disney World or Disneyland.
Yes, 100% agree. We ended up, so our vacation package was 3 park days, and then we ended up adding on a fourth park day and just buying the tickets that day. And yeah, and I was shocked, like, oh wow, this is all we're spending for this extra day. They also have, I don't know if we want to throw this in here, but they also have those half day early evening tickets that are nice. So you can enter at 3 p.m.
That's cool. And the parks, I will say the parks there are pretty consistent. They open at 9-ish and they close at 9-ish, just because everybody, employees included, take the train home and they got to be able to make the train. So the hours are pretty consistent. They're not open till like midnight, like I'll just keep referencing Walt Disney World since I live so close to that. I'm not going to say you can still stay for 12 solid hours, but it's not till midnight like it is here at Walt Disney World.
Going off of the booking, and correct me if this has changed, but typically you have two parks. You have Tokyo Disneyland and DisneySea. And when you book the ticket packages, they typically assign you 2 days and you have a flex day. Is that still true?
Not for a vacation package. Well, you know what? They may have changed it. So I booked my vacation package back in January for June tickets.
And there's a rule too. Let me just say when you can book it. Do you know what that rule? Because I know you have to log on and it's very strict, right? When vacation packages open.
They used to have it. I was just checking their website right now to see if it was posted for when the next one's releasing, and I couldn't find it. So there were two Facebook groups that I joined, the Tokyo Disneyland Holiday Planning and Tokyo Disneyland, DisneySea, and Universal Japan for families. So between those two Facebook groups, like every month somebody would be posting like, oh, they posted the date for vacation packages. So you were ready. So like I was sitting, I had every device open on my desk, like ready to go. And then I was messaging with my cruise friend that was booking the same night too. I had done practice bookings before, just like getting to the point right before you put in your credit card, and then have 2 credit cards ready. So like my Chase Visa went through with no problems, but my friends did not and had to go, I think it was Liz actually, had to switch to an Amex. So just have more than 1 credit card ready, and then make sure that they don't have the international transaction fees.
That's a good point. We got an American Express just for that purpose. I was going to say, I've had a Disney Visa since the day I was born, but we got a family American Express just for the foreign fee, and just to have 2 credit cards, because I have heard it can be touch and go.
Yeah, and Disney, for whatever reason, does charge you a transaction fee on that one, but there's so many Chase credit cards that don't. So,
well, I was going to say, I did not do a vacation package, so we just bought tickets again on Klook, and it's just 1 park, 1 day. They did just recently create a park hopper. I believe you can park hop after 11 or so, although the price was almost double. So we just stuck to the 1 park, 1 day, bought those tickets, and we were good to go.
And what about booking airfare?
We booked Air Canada straight up because it was the cheapest. We flew from Florida to Montreal. We spent $35 at Subway at the Montreal airport, and then it was a 13-hour flight. Oh, shoot. To Narita. There's 2 airports, and we went to Narita, which was not the closest one, but it was the cheapest one. And the train worked just fine to get to our Disney hotel.
Yeah, they say Haneda is nicer than Narita. We flew out of Narita after Disneyland, and I wanted to add in here, if anybody's there, like the food lines to eat in Narita were insanely long. So just be aware. Okay, I'm going to go back to the vacation package for just a second. So we did the enjoy attractions and more for 3 days. They have one, and this is the one that sells out really quickly. It's the 2-day unlimited attractions. So if that's the one you want, like really be at your computer ready to go. And with the vacation package, so you choose your hotel. We chose Toy Story Hotel, and then you have to choose a breakfast in the booking. Like they'll want you to choose a lunch and a dinner, but they're more expensive than just doing it on your own. So I said no lunch, no dinner, but you have to choose a breakfast. So at the Toy Story Hotel, there's Lotso's Cafe or whatever. So we did that, and it was good. It was fine. And then you also, and that the cost for the breakfast is included in the vacation package. Then you also get a popcorn voucher for a bucket and a popcorn. You get 4 original goods vouchers. So I got 4, 1 for each person. So they have a little book at the hotel, and you get to choose, like there was a Duffy purse, a Tokyo Disneyland bag, a cute little orange purse thing. They're just cute little things, but it's limited. It's not like you get to walk in and say, I want this. And then you get 4 drink vouchers, which is unlimited, but it doesn't cover like all drinks. And then the park tickets. And then you get to, so when I did it, I could not choose, oh, day one, I want to go to DisneySea and then I want to go to Disneyland. Like they already tell you, you get 1 day at Disneyland and 2 days at DisneySea. For my 1 day at Disneyland, I got to choose an anytime pass for the list. They have a different list of rides that you can choose. A fast pass, which there they call it Premier Access. And we did Beauty and the Beast. And then 1 character greeting. And then day 2, which was our first DisneySea day, you get 3 ride reservations or Premier Access. And then day 3, again at DisneySea, 1 anytime pass and 1 Premier Access. We flew, so our cruise started in Seoul. So we flew from LAX to San Francisco and then San Francisco to Seoul. And that was all covered with miles.
Man, you just rattled off the fast passes and things, and that must have been clutch, because I'm sure we'll talk about the lines in a hot second, but they're intense. So holy cow, just having like 3 per day, that saved you hours of time. That's
why
amazing.
I spent the extra money, because I was reading like, oh, we definitely want to ride Beauty and the Beast. And I know my family's not going to be up in the morning to get a Premier Access in time before they sell out. So I think it was worth the extra money just so they weren't as grouchy.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, let's move into actually getting to Japan. You fly in or you disembark off your ship. How did you get to your hotels? And then how did you get from your hotels to the parks?
So we took a bus from the airport to Disney. And with the time change and everything, we actually ended up landing at bedtime, Japan time. So it's pretty convenient. We just went right to bed. And I'm the opposite of Kristi. We were up at the crack of dawn to rope drop everything. Our hotel was actually next door to her hotel, the Toy Story Hotel. Hilton was right next door. So we both probably used the same monorail station. And the monorail out there is super clean, super amazing. It comes every 12 seconds, it feels like. And you have to pay for it. So you do have to buy, it's not expensive. I'll have to look it up. But we bought a 4-day monorail pass, 1 for each of us. And that was super easy.
They're very cute too.
They are super cute. There was like 5 designs, 3 of them being Duffy. So we each of us got a different Duffy monorail pass. I'll have to Google how much it was while Kristi describes her journey.
Okay, so I stayed at a non-Disney hotel as well. Do you want me to throw that in here or? Okay, so we were supposed to get off of our cruise in Tokyo, but the day before our last night of the cruise, my son had to have emergency surgery. So we were stuck in Mount Fuji for 2 days, which was obviously not planned, and neither was the surgery. So the day he got out of the hospital, we took a taxi from our hospital hotel to a train station, and we took a train to the Shinkansen, and then we took the Shinkansen we went through Tokyo Station, it was a 10-minute walk inside Tokyo Station to get to the next train. So if anybody has Tokyo Station or Kyoto as well in their plans, they're huge. And then we took a train to Maihama, and then they have a resort taxi there, which is what we did since he'd literally just gotten out of out of the hospital that morning. So it was like $6 to go from what was it called, Amber? The transportation center, which is right next to Maihama Station. So like Maihama Station, the transportation center, whatever they call it, and Ikspiari are like all in the same area. So when we got off of that train, we grabbed a taxi for $6 and we went to our first hotel, which I had booked the day before using Chase points since I had to, reorganize the rest of the trip. We did 2 nights there at Tokyo Bay Maihama Hotel. Now there's another hotel that's called Tokyo Bay Maihama First. It was not that one. We stayed at the other one. It was a 2-minute car ride from Toy Story Hotel. It had 4 twin beds. It had a shuttle bus to Maihama and Ikspiari and then to the Bayside Station, which is where you got on across from Toy Story Hotel. And it had a konbini and a gift shop and a buffet. It was really nice. So if the Hilton where Amber stayed is full, this one was really nice. We liked it a lot.
I randomly Googled the monorail, and again, my family's a family of 3 for 4 days, and it was $25 for total, like for all three monorail tickets. So,
and you have to pay cash for those monorail tickets too.
That's true. You do have to get like some yen from somewhere. We used 0 yen at the parks, but that's a good point. For You do have to have some Japanese yen for some trains.
Did you just get it from an ATM at a bank?
We did it at the airport from the ATM.
Were both of your first day parks Tokyo Disneyland?
Yes, just because I thought I was going to be very overwhelmed using the app. Then they have all those free fast passes Kristi was talking about. So I didn't want to waste me being overwhelmed at DisneySea. I wanted to waste me being overwhelmed at Tokyo Disneyland. And it worked out, I think.
Yes, I wish I would have done what Amber did when we got there. We added on that fourth day, since we'd had to skip Tokyo. And I thought about, should we maybe do DisneySea since it's so different? But I was like, no, let's just do 2 days at Disneyland and 2 days at DisneySea. Like, keep it all in order. And I wish I would have just done DisneySea.
Well, I hate to say let's start with the less exciting of the two, but from those reactions, I mean, it's hard to top what we will get into with DisneySea. But you step foot into Tokyo Disneyland. What were some highlights of this park and what were some comparison contrasts from our US parks?
So it was nice for me. First of all, I should have done way more research and I didn't. But so we walk in and it's very much like Disneyland in California. Like I didn't really need a map and I could have figured out where most things were. So just being a Disney pro, I'll call myself, it was nice being there and just being comfortable, being able to find things. I would say it's 75% things I've done before, just in a different language. And maybe 25% of the rides were new to me. And the lines there were not that bad compared to DisneySea, where they were crazy. We did get there at the crack of dawn, unlike Kristi. And we ran to Beauty and the Beast just because everybody else was running there. And I should mention it was 2 million degrees outside, give or take. Although Celsius, 1 million degrees Celsius, it was hot. So we're outside waiting. And all the lines were outside too, for the most part. So yeah, it was amazing. It was very familiar and amazing at the same time. And very inexpensive. Like a bottle of water, if I'm doing my conversion in my head right, $1.75. Like a full meal would be maybe $6. Popcorn, like $2.50 without the bucket. So it was kind of nice, kind of not having to think about prices very much.
I bought a pair of ears for a friend. They were $15.
Yes.
It was all of Japan was pretty inexpensive. Sorry, we really liked the Monsters Inc. ride. Of course, Beauty and the Beast was incredible. Like that whole, I'm sure everybody's seen that whole scene on YouTube. Like that was just, I need a documentary just on how they did that.
Was it when the Beast transforms?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I like videoed that on my phone. I show everybody, like, look at this video. It was
incredible.
We rode that ride 4 times in the 2 days. We just if we could catch a half hour, we're waiting for this ride again. We just kept going. And I'm so jealous. Monsters was closed. It must have just closed.
Oh man, it was fun. We did that one twice. I always like to ride Big Thunder at every park, and Big Thunder was closed, so we missed that. And Small World with Groot, like that was really.
Oh my gosh, I missed that by 2 days, and I was devastated as well.
It was very cute. What else did we do that was? Oh, Pooh's Honey Hunt was really cute. It was fun.
I agree. It's 50% the Pooh at Walt Disney World, and then 50% way better and different.
Yes. And to your point about you guys were up early, had we done this at the beginning of our trip, we could have absolutely done early morning. Like when we first started our trip in Seoul, we were all up at 4 a.m. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're planning.
They have Splash Mountain too, old school Splash Mountain. That's true. Yeah, and they don't mess around. We were all saturated after all the water rides we went on. They're not like a light splashing, but yeah, old school Splash Mountain was a fun treat. And all the Mickey shaped foods.
Yes, the green, the alien, the mochi, those were really good. Yes, I was really surprised that I liked those. They were really, really good. Did you eat at Center Street Coffee?
We did not.
That was the Baymax curry. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead to food. I'll stop.
No, we'll keep going. We got the Baymax burger where the bun is shaped like Baymax.
Oh, very cute.
I also got, it was a 4-foot loaf of bread, Mickey shaped. I just ate that bread for the next week and a half.
And I never even saw where that was. I wanted some and I never even saw it.
It was the ice cream parlor on Main Street.
Oh, okay.
And it was available after 3 p.m. It was really random. I'm going to say that there was very popcorn was open from 9 to 10 and then from 5 to 7. There was just kind of some very random things that were open, but you just, use the app and figure it out. But yeah, all the big things. And I think Kristi was going to say something about the eggs, perhaps.
Oh, I was just gonna say all the cute little Disney charactered food. Like there's so many fun. Like, did we already even say there's like a Mickey Mouse chicken nugget?
Yes. Yes. My daughter had those. A Mickey churro. And again, I wish I kept my receipts, but these things were not that expensive.
I had the Mickey steamed bun. It was like his glove chicken sandwich, and it had an egg on it. It was really good, but I really wanted one of the Mickey shaped yolk hard boiled eggs. And every dish that they came in, I was like, the only thing I'm going to eat is the egg.
Oh, yeah. I made my husband eat that. It was like cold udon noodles. We just got like one. We're like, well, I'll just pick at it and take a picture of the egg and call it a day. It was so hot. So I'm like, oh, go inside and look at some noodles. Amazing. Let's go sit down.
Yes, it was hot, but I will say that their air conditioning in Japan is like similar to our air conditioning here, where like Paris Disneyland, it was not our air conditioning. So that was, I'll give them that. At least they know their air conditioning there in Japan. I wanted to go back really fast, like what Amber said, when you walk into Disneyland, yes, it's very familiar. You know, you've got the hub, you've got the lands. Like I didn't use the map that much. It all felt very familiar. And when we walked in, my husband and I were like, wow, where are the crowds? Like, this is awesome. And then when we went to DisneySea, we were like, oh, here's everyone.
Yeah, everyone's there. Everyone's there or at the Beauty and the Beast ride. They're all there.
Let's move into it. What is arguably touted as one of the best, or as the best Disney park for those that have been there. Let's talk about DisneySea.
So I'll say my first impression was, what is happening? Where do I go? I don't know if I enjoy this because it's just so overwhelming. And again, that might have been lack of planning on my part because again, we got there probably about 8:40 in the morning. It opens at 9. We got in the park at 9:45. So it took that long to make it through that big old line. And it's a trillion degrees. And just all the rides were an hour. Once we got in, like not just one or two, probably 10 rides were an hour. So it's just like, all right, pick one and go. And mentally, I knew that's what we're going to do. It's going to be a line waiting day. And that place is huge. It is massive. So I'm glad we did it for 2 days because if I had only been there one day, I would have been way too stressed out trying to do everything. And we still didn't do everything in 2 days. So please do more research than me. Look at a map, figure out where you want to go first. Because we just walked in, freaked out, ended up on Journey to the Center of the Earth, which is the queue is indoors. So it worked out perfectly. And from there in line, then we were like, okay, let's look at the app. You do everything on the app, which I'm sure Kristi with a P would love doing, looking at her phone the whole time. But that's what you got to do. You got to be on the app. And that's where you get the free fast passes and a lot of restaurants you had to do, what's it called on the app when you got to, like, you can't just walk into some of the restaurants. What am I trying to say?
Order.
Mobile order. Like some restaurants you had to do mobile order and they were filling up fast. And some stores you have to, I'm going to call it a fast pass. All the shows you had to get, again, I'm calling it a fast pass. These were all free things, but you just had to do it before they were gone. So it's kind of stressful at first, but again, the fact that we did 2 days made me feel better because the second day was so much better than the first day, just for my mental state. But it's awesome. It's huge. You're going to walk 80,000 steps that day, let me tell you.
It is ginormous. Like I had no idea how big it was. And when we first went in, well, let me back up. So if you stay at Toy Story, it's right across the street from Fantasy Springs. And after 10 a.m., you can use their entrance so you can skip the monorail. So, and you get to see the back side of Fantasy Springs, which was beautiful. There were all these fountains and yeah, it was very pretty. So we used that entrance, and that was really handy. That probably saved us like 30 minutes in the morning.
What would be a comparison or like price wise for, I guess you can't tell because they have packages, right? For what like the Disney hotel would cost per night versus the Hilton, for example?
My Maihama hotel that I booked with points for 2 nights would have been $791 cash. And then my one night that I had to add on to Toy Story because I wanted 3 nights at Toy Story and the package only came with 2 nights. So that was a whole different booking. I should have said that in the beginning. So I booked that in February. So my vacation package was booked in January. my hotel booking, my single hotel was booked in February, and I had to make sure that I got the same exact style of room because they only had 20 of these rooms. We got like the superior square view. It was good. That was $331 for one extra night.
So not bad.
No, especially being able just to walk into the park after 10 a.m., but still being able to walk into the park.
I might be completely making this up, but I feel like our 5 nights at the Hilton was maybe $800. But again, I might be completely making that up.
Taking it back to DisneySea, what was each of your favorite attraction from that park?
I'm going to go with Rapunzel. I don't know their official names. I apologize. The Rapunzel ride. Their Tower of Terror, totally different and amazing. And I just have to give a shout out to the Big Band Beat Show, which we saw every day. And it was completely in English, which was a nice treat. And the Japanese people love that Big Band Beat Show. They sold merch for the show. Everyone was wearing the merch. And we were like, why is the show so popular? It was a great show. Mickey flat out plays a drum set. Mickey in the show, full costume, red suit, looking snazzy, is straight up playing the drums. And we were like, is Mickey playing the drums or is this just the soundtrack to Mickey? But no, you could hear him hitting the cymbal. And then he hopped off the drums and he was tap dancing. Like these characters, he was so talented. It was a great show anyway. So yeah, Rapunzel, Tower of Terror would have to be my 2 go-to rides.
We loved Peter Pan. Peter Pan was, which I hadn't seen a whole lot, for the new Fantasy Springs rides. I had not seen a whole lot about Peter Pan. So I was just like, okay, yeah, Peter Pan. It blew us away. It was so good. Like there were points because it's 3D. Like I kind of compared it to like Harry Potter plus, I don't know, Peter Pan at Disneyland maybe. But the 3D screens were so good. Like there were points where even my husband was like, I couldn't tell if that was on the screen or if that was like actually part of the set that you were moving through. So Peter Pan was my favorite. My second was probably Journey to the Center of the Earth. I liked it.
That was a good one. Kristi Pudick would have not have been able to handle Peter Pan. It was very 3D. Even I was just like closing my eyes half the time, but it was amazing. But I couldn't have written it twice.
For me, it wasn't like The Simpsons. Like I can't do The Simpsons or the Minions anymore. Like it was, I compared to, Flight of Passage. I thought it was like Flight of Passage, but the 3D was even better.
Yeah. And the line was cute. I mean, everyone loves the Frozen ride. And it was great. It was great. The problem was we waited almost 2 hours for it and like nothing's that great. Like no offense, Frozen. It's not that great. So I'm sure if I hadn't waited that long, I would have liked it more. But I think everyone in my family were like, okay, like check. We did it. What were the other snazzy rides there? The Indiana Jones ride was cool, but it was kind of the same as Disneyland, just slightly different. They had a coaster, and this coaster was just crammed it was just like this crammed coaster, and it goes upside down.
That's the Raging Spirits. So we did not ride that, but I Googled it, and I asked my cruise friend, because it looked like Indiana Jones from Paris. And it's just a slower version.
That's amazing. It had a single rider line. So thank you, Raging Spirits.
There weren't a whole lot of single rider lines, were there?
No, it was, and they were kind of hidden too. It was Raging Spirits, and I believe Indiana Jones might have been the only two.
Yeah, so we used the DAS, which I can talk about later, since my son was in the wheelchair. And when we did Journey to the Center of the Earth, they just put the 3 of us in one of those ride vehicles, which they could have fit more people in, but they just put 3 of us and sent us on. When I first walked into DisneySea and I saw that giant globe, I felt like I was at Universal Studios. But then you just walk in and you're really thinking like, where the heck am I? Like, what is this place? And there's nothing really. I mean, there are lands, but it's not laid out like a regular Disney park. And then I never got a paper map, but my cruise friend said that the PhotoPass people had them. I never saw a PhotoPass person. So that would be a tip if you're going to DisneySea, like print out a map. Don't just rely on your phone because it's so big that you're like zooming out to see where you need to go and then having to zoom back in to see, well, where am I turning? Which path am I taking? So you spent a lot of time zooming in, zooming out, zooming in, zooming out. And then having the wheelchair made it even harder because okay, well, we get here and then it's stairs. Well, then where's the ramp? And I did not realize that DisneySea has like a second level over that area. Yes. So on the app, we were wanting to find these little pizza bite thingies to eat. And on the app, I'm like, it says we're right here. Here's the blue dot. Where is it? and then realizing, oh, we should have gone up that little tiny hill back there because there's more upstairs. So now we have to find an elevator.
I would just like to point out that what I just heard from this story, though, is that paper is better. This is my takeaway.
Yeah, the whole first day we were just like aimlessly wandering around because the Journey to the Center of the Earth, it's basically, it's a big mountain and it's kind of a hollow mountain and it's a circle in the middle and there's just 4 exits to Mystery Land. You know, it's like, where does this one go? Where does this one go? So thankfully, by doing 2 days, we were like kind of getting our bearings. But that's a good point, Kristi. Nothing's really like, it's not like this land is this and this land is this. It's just like, it's beautifully themed after the world. But yeah, it was very confusing and all over the place.
Yes. And to give you like an idea of how big it is, we were at Journey to the Center of the Earth, which I would guess that's the center. That's kind of the middle of the park. Would you agree, Amber, kind of? Yeah. And so we told the lady, the cast member, like, oh, we need to go to Frozen. Which direction do we go? And she, like, her eyes got big and she was like, oh, that will be like 30 minutes and head that way. Could have been because we had the wheelchair too. But it was, it was a trek. It wasn't just like, oh, yeah, let me pop on over there.
Yeah. I mean, Fantasy Springs is an add-on to the park. So it's definitely in the outskirts. But yeah, it's a good 5K to get there from the front of the park. Lake would be in heaven, just doing 5Ks every hour on the hour, going from ride to ride.
Yeah, for those interested, the park is 176 acres. The closest comparison would be Epcot at 300 acres, but that includes World Showcase. So realistically, it is actually more walking paths than that.
And they're also very snaky path. You know, Epcot's a big old circle, whereas this is like you can turn every direction and go every different area.
Yes, like at one point we needed to go left, but there were literally 2 paths going left, like with just a little bush between them. Like, well, which path do I want? Let me zoom out on my map and try and figure it out.
You mentioned dining and snacking in Disneyland already. What about dining in DisneySea?
So this year was the 20th anniversary of Duffy at Tokyo. So that was the celebration going on, the year-long celebration was Colorful Happiness, a Duffy celebration. So we spent extensive time at Miguel's Cantina, which was over by Indiana Jones area, because they had all the Duffy foods. So we ate all the Duffy foods and got all the Duffy souvenirs on day 1. Oh, and also it was air conditioned. Day 2, we ate at the Snuggly Duckling, which is in Fantasy Springs, right next to Rapunzel's. That was also air conditioning. And honestly, nothing was like amazing, except for the fries. For some reason, those Japanese fries were amazing. Amazing fries. Everything else was good though, and it was fairly inexpensive. So it's fun to try new things and only spend like $5 on it.
We did not eat a whole lot at DisneySea, but we did do Snuggly Duckling, and I liked it. I had the shrimp burger. It was yummy. And then they had some kind of special milk tea for Rapunzel. It was okay. It was all right. But the shrimp burger was good. And then my son and my husband had the regular burger and they liked it. We did going back to how long the lines are, we stood in line for roast beef popcorn for 20 minutes. Everything was that long. And also, if you want the Beauty and the Beast, so Beauty and the Beast is not at DisneySea at all. So if you, like, I wanted the Beauty and the Beast popcorn bucket, and we went to Big Pop at Disneyland, and the line was super long, like out the door. So I was like, oh, we'll get it tomorrow at DisneySea. They don't have it there. So if Beauty and the Beast is on your must-do purchase list, souvenir list, you got to do it at Disneyland.
That's true. We need to talk for the next 25 minutes about the popcorn flavors because they're crazy. Actually, roast beef is the one flavor I didn't get, and I'm kind of mad at myself now because that sounds gross and amazing at the same time.
Okay, I don't like roast beef. I don't eat beef at all, and I loved it. It was really good because it was nice and salty. So we only got 2 flavors. We only got the roast beef and just plain salted because my son was like, oh no, line's too long. Like, meh.
They were crazy. We got everything but roast beef. So honey, white chocolate. What's the ice cream with the vanilla chocolate and strawberry? Neapolitan. They have popcorn called Neapolitan. Soy sauce, black pepper. And these are all separate, by the way. The longest line I waited in for was garlic shrimp popcorn.
Stop it right now.
I wanted to try all of those. And my son was just like, nope, just salted.
I feel like curry. Was that one of them? Or did I make that up? Yeah. Just name something crazy and it was probably one of them.
One of those Facebook groups had a printout of what flavors were available at each park and then a map showing where they were. And of course, I put those in my backpack. Did I ever pull them out and actually look at them? No.
Yeah, some of those popcorn lines were like, oh, what's this line for? A ride? No, it's just popcorn.
Well, talking about the parks being pretty crowded, what was like the park culture like though?
It's true where everyone's waiting in line and they're very polite. Shockingly, there was not many, there was a lot of couples. There was a lot of families with very small children, and that was who was there. There was not a lot of like school-age children. I didn't see a lot of high school children. People were dressed up. They were looking great. Ladies were wearing their high heels. Everyone had their umbrella. Oh, and then everyone had a fan and a neck coolie thing, and everyone was decked out with their ways to stay cool. And no one's like running. It was, nothing at all negative to say, even though there was 12 billion people there. It was very polite.
I said that I feel like the Anaheim cast members could never be beat, but the Tokyo cast members beat the Anaheim cast members. They were incredible. They were so helpful and so polite. And even, well, just Japan as a whole, because even the employees at the first hotel we stayed at, that Maihama Bay, like they bent over backwards to accommodate us and help us. They were great. But yeah, like Amber said, lots of dressing up. Like I would never survive there in my athletic wear. Lots of dressing up. Yeah. Lots of matching. And back to Duffy. Duffy was king. Like Duffy was everywhere. And quiet as far as like talking. Like I never heard anybody like yell across the park or, nothing like that.
That's a good point. Also good point on the matching. Lots of matching.
Yes. And on the monorail, as well as like any of the trains in Japan, everybody's quiet. Like I know you see that on Instagram and everything, but it's true. Like if somebody's listening to something on their headphone or on their phone, they always had headphones on. And if you're talking to the person next to you, like it was a whisper. It wasn't a normal voice level.
I would love that.
It was great. Yeah.
My child would not make it though, nor my husband. They're the loudest people on the planet.
Do you experience any of the dancing? So any attraction or event that has its own soundtrack has a dedicated dance that the cast members and the fans know. Like the
Baymax ride.
Yes, the most famous example is the Baymax ride. People will stand there all day and dance to the soundtrack.
Yes, so we did not ride Baymax, but I went to Baymax just because I wanted to see it and I wanted to see the dancing cast members. So yes, the cast members dance, and I saw like maybe one or two people standing in line who knew parts of the dance but didn't know the whole thing. So yeah, that is true.
Well, that explains why the Baymax ride was always an hour. And we didn't ride it either because we looked at the ride and it's literally alien. Yeah, it's Tomato or alien something saucers. So I'm like, I want to do this just to cross off my list, but I don't think I can wait an hour for this. And I never did. But that's so funny. I didn't know that was like a cultural thing.
Yes, their parades and cavalcades are like the same thing where there's dedicated dances to all of it. It's pretty wild.
Amazing. We did watch a little cavalcade. This was like Baymax's Summertime Splash or whatever it was called. And because it was so hot, it was basically a Baymax float and they just like sprayed water on you. And I wasn't mad about it at all. They also had a nighttime parade, which I think was going to be straight up Main Street Electrical Parade, but it was canceled the day we thought about seeing it. So we didn't see that. And then that was the second night. The first night we went to bed at like 7 p.m. because we were so tired.
What were some things you wish you knew that you know now going into these parks?
I will say that some of the hotels have what's called happy entry, where you get into the park 15 minutes early. And very long story short, we had that on our fourth day. And it was, I don't know what these people paid for it that gave it to me, but it saved us probably 4 hours. Like just getting into the park 15 minutes in what we did saved us like 4 hours of time. So again, I don't know what those hotels cost and how to get the happy entry, but it was huge getting that. I already forgot the question because I'm just going off on the 50. It sounds silly, like 15 minutes early. That's nothing. It was everything. It was literally everything.
I have a list of tips. Should I just my tips? Okay. So I already said this one, but print a map. Don't rely on, because they're not handing them out. So print a map. This one's kind of odd. If you want shirts, bring a measuring tape because the sizing is different than what's here. And bring plastic forks and spoons if you are not proficient in chopsticks. For the heat, bring a solar or buy a solar umbrella. In Ixpiari, they had this shop that had, I don't know, it was called 3 something. They also had a Daiso, but those frozen neck rings, like, get that. Bring all the fans you have. Like, I cannot state enough how hot and humid it was. Don't pack ponchos for the rain because they're just going to stick to your sweat from the humidity. So don't waste your luggage space. I think that's all I have. Yeah. I wish we had more time. When we go back, I definitely want to go back. I just want more time. Just more time.
How many days would you recommend? Let's just say someone knew this was going to be like a one and done kind of trip, but they wanted to get to experience all. Like, realistically, minimum, how much do you think you would need for each park?
I mean, this was a one and done trip for us. And like I said, it sounds silly, but half our time in Japan was at Disney and the other half was in Tokyo. And I think that was just fine. 2 days at each park. Did we need 2 full days at Tokyo Disneyland? Probably not. But just the fact that I didn't have to go crazy in one day, I could spread it out. I think 4 days was great. I could have done easily a 3rd day at DisneySea, but I'm not made of time or money. So we had to stick with 4. And it was perfectly fine.
I think if you get that vacation package with the unlimited rides, you could eke it out in 1 day at each park. But if you're not going to get that, I would say at least 2 days at Disneyland and probably 3 days at DisneySea. And don't do what I did. So back to a tip. I booked our flight home on the last day of our vacation package because we usually end up like sitting around that last day and saying like, why didn't we fly home yesterday? You know? So I did that. Well, we went into DisneySea and we rode Journey to the Center of the Earth, and then we got stuck in a downpour. So our clothes were just soaking wet. And then we went back and changed, but I'd also decided like, okay, we can't spend forever here because we have to check out of the hotel. And I don't want to be on a giant sweat ball for our long flight home. So think about that too. If you're going in the winter, we probably would have been fine. But yeah, in the summer, no. You need to take a shower before you get on the plane. So almost if you're going in the winter, I don't know, you might be able to do it in fewer days. I don't know. Maybe not.
Well, let's move out of Tokyo Disneyland, and we could talk about things to do in Tokyo and Japan for hours and hours and hours. But what were just a few highlights, or if you had to recommend maybe 2 or 3 items outside of Tokyo Disneyland, what would they be?
I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but we stayed in Asakusa. Again, I know I'm saying that wrong. And I would highly recommend this area of Tokyo. It was very safe. It was very Amber and Kristi because everything shut down at like 6 o'clock. There was a huge temple. It was just like building, huge temple, like building. But it was just like, it was very touristy, which was great. The trains were right there. So that was a great place to stay, and just walking around that area was super fun. Another thing we did that was really fun it was called Team Borderless Planets. And if you Google Tokyo, Team Borderless is going to pop up. It was also very touristy, and it's one of those things where you're in a room of lights, and then you're in a room of like water, and then you're in a room of plants. It's just one of those kind of buildings of like illusion-y type things. But it was like I could have stayed in there for hours. Like it was really cool. And it was indoors, which also probably helped. So those are my 2 random fun things we did in Tokyo. Just the place to stay, Asakusa, and then Team Borderless Planets was super fun and worth the money.
I just want to say our whole cruise. We had an amazing cruise, even with an emergency surgery thrown in there. The cruise was incredible. But we also did the Nintendo Museum in Osaka, which was really unique. It was fun. They have so many tickets, but it was crowded. But it's the only Nintendo museum in the world, so that was cool. And then we really loved Hiroshima and going to Miyajima Island. It was beautiful. It when I think of Japan in my mind, like that's what Miyajima Island was. And they have deer that just walk around and you can pet them, they're different. It's not the Nara Deer Park. It's another location with more deer. It was really cool.
Kristi, one more thing to mention before we take it out. You had to use the DAS pass for this. How was that for you, and how did you obtain that?
So it worked really well. It was very smooth. It probably helped that we had a Japanese medical certificate as opposed to bringing something from the United States. So every morning, the first ride that you went to, you would find a cast member and say, I need the DAS pass, and they would either help you or they would send you to another person that had the little phone thing or whatever. And I would show them the medical certificate and they would just say like, okay, yes, he qualifies. And then they would put in his information and take his picture. And then from then on, we would just go to a ride and say we want to get a DAS pass, and whatever the wait was, for standing in line, that's what they would issue through the app. So if it was a 40-minute wait, they would usually say come back in 35 minutes because they said, oh, we're going to subtract the time that you had to stand here and talk to us. And then it would just be up in the app on my phone.
Love it. Well, Amber, Kristi, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experiences at Tokyo Disneyland.
Arigato, Lake.
Oh, good job. I feel like there's so many more things to talk about and ask about, but this is going to be our taste of the Japan parks.
Listen, other Kristi will have to go back because she already said she's going back. We asked my daughter, like, hey, do you think it was worth flying all that way and throwing up 7 times on the flight to go there and, barely sleep for 3 days when we got home because our bodies were just struggling so much? And she said, yeah, I'd like to go back when I'm a little bit older, maybe when I'm 13. My daughter's 10. So a long time for her is 3 years. So apparently we're going back in 3 years.
I asked my youngest too, because there were some deals on points flights to Tokyo in January. So I said, hey, you want to go? And he was like, yeah. And then he said, would I have to miss school? Yeah, you'd have to miss about a week of school. Would I have to take the homework? Yeah, you'd have to take the homework. Well, then let's wait.
I will say though, we took Blake out of school in January for the Treasure in order to save money on that particular cruise. And he was really stressed leading up to it. But once he got back and started doing the homework, he's like, that wasn't so bad. I don't mind missing school. So as long as he remembers that.
That junior high math though, no, I'm not helping with that. I can't.
I can see that. And see, my kid is just like, I get it. And then my husband's like, I can show you this one thing if you don't. So, okay, I get that because I can't do it. No.
Well, thank you both so much again for coming on and sharing your experiences. Kristi, where can our listeners follow you?
You can find me all over the internet at Pack Your Pixie Dust. And if you'd like to work with me to plan a future trip or a cruise like Kristi did, you can reach me. There is a link in the show notes that Lake has placed in there for us, and you can click on the work with me. Lake, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram and YouTube at MouseGen, and you can follow the podcast on Instagram and Facebook at DL Podcast, and find out more information at dclpodcast.com. But that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Well, it's going to wrap up the show. Once again, I want to thank Amber and Kristi for coming on and sharing their experiences in Tokyo Disneyland. If you're enjoying the show, we greatly appreciate you leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We'd also like to thank our Patreons who help make this show happen each and every week for us. You too can help support the show by visiting us at patreon.com/DCL Podcast. Whether you're boarding a cruise, enjoying a trip to the parks, or adventuring outside of Disney, on behalf of myself, Kristi, and Steve, we want to wish you smooth sailing and safe travels. And we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast.
The DCL Podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.